We are live. Maybe. That sun is blinding. I think I'm going to have to sit back here. Good morning, gorgeous people all around the world. Early in the morning, girl is half dressed. I got to get back into my farmer clothes. But, it's warming up. I won't say it's warm, but it is warming up here. And as I said, in the video Chamomile for Days. In that video, I predicted that that night was going to be the last frost, and it has been. And now the weather, and as I'm looking at the forecast, it's warmed up by at least 6 degrees, like every day. So it's been so nice for a change because usually in the mornings, Mr. Crow's outside. Usually, let me just stop this for a second. Whoa. Oh. Okay, sorry. Salam, Mondo. So I'm hoping first of all my sound is okay. So usually, what was I saying? In the mornings. In the mornings, um, oh my gosh, I've totally lost my train of thought. I was talking about the weather, and oh yes, usually in the mornings, my fingers are so cold when I'm typing that I can't move them to touch the keys on the keyboard because obviously these computers, they are metal and they're cold. Um, the only good thing about the cold weather with my computer is that this poor old computer is not seizing up. Not seizing up because in the heat, oh God, this computer just has some hissy fits like no other. And it's because it's old now, and I guess the processor or whatever is not coping with the excess heat that you know the weather brings. So anyway, it is beautiful. I just love seeing. Look at what's going on. I'm gonna see if I can be successful at uploading a picture. I've got a couple of pictures to upload, but I just want to show you. Last night I was outside watering my olives, my fruit trees. Yes, actually yesterday was a big day because I traveled to into the hills. Oops. I traveled into the hills to go and get some soil. Okay, I've got the picture. I'm just going to slide it over. Because the soil that I've got here, I can't grow citrus. I think I mentioned that in my last video. But what does grow well is stone fruit, which I'm going to show you right now. So I took a picture as I'm watering last night. I have so many olive trees that I have to water in because even though they've been in the ground for a little while, they're not they're not acclimatized. Here it is. Okay. Whoop. Oh my goodness, that picture is huge. Let me try and minimize that. There you go. So this is a picture last night of my peach blossom. Isn't that gorgeous? Oh, I just love seeing those fluffy little fibers and the little blossoms just bursting out of the buds, and oh, it just warms my heart because it means the spring equinox is on the horizon. Actually, it's today the first. Today would be the first day of spring. It's the 1st of September here. Is that right? I think this is the start of spring. Anyway, all the blossoms are coming out, so all my fruit trees have these incredible blossoms, and oh my gosh, it's just so nice. So yesterday was it was a big day because I don't grow. Oops, I don't grow citrus here at all because it's a very heavy clay soil. And so I literally had to travel to this area to go and get a loamy, sandy, loamy type soil so the citrus would grow in there. Oh my goodness. And then, shoveling it all off into this hole. And, if a citrus tree does not grow in this, then a citrus tree won't grow out here. Because me and my neighbor, we talk about this, and she said the only time she can grow citrus is in pots. And I hate, putting a tree in a pot because they're meant to be in the ground. They're meant to, spread out their roots and converse with Mother Nature. And I feel a pot is so confined. A pot is similar to keeping a bird in a cage kind of thing. So unless it's a small plant that has shallow roots and doesn't mind being in a pot, citrus, they deserve to be in the ground for sure. So how is everybody? My goodness, when was my last live stream? Was it last week or a week before that? Can't remember, but I have been flat out. It's been a busy time for me, and not only is it busy because of my garden, but I'm busy with business from you guys. And actually, if you follow me on Facebook or on Instagram, you will know that I have been making soap, and it actually started very organically. So my mother had asked me to make something for this local farmers market coming up in about a month in October. And I've always loved soap. I've always loved anything ancient and homemade and made with really good ingredients and really exotic blends. And so I started making soap. And I have a picture of it. So I've called it Soap of Pasargadae. ah, because here it is. Here, let's just show you my soap first. Whoa, that's so big. And I want another one of those big pictures. This is the top soap. It's still, whoops. Oh my goodness. How can I minimize this picture? Sorry guys, sorry for the whiplash. There you go. So there are the two soaps I've made so far, and I've got two others curing, like in their containers now. So you've got Susa here, which is a real spicy, earthy, orange clove, warming type soap, which smells incredible. And then you have this one down here, which is called Parthe, which is that they are my rose petals from my garden, and lavender buds. So they're all locally, like the floral parts of it are all locally sourced. But Parthe is how could I describe Parthe? It just smells incredible. I just wish I could transport that smell through the computer. But Parthe, it smells natural and earthy, but then it has floral in there. So like the elements that I have in there are lang lang, cedarwood, vetiver. Um, I've got it written down because I'm making labels for them. But this is how it started, for this local market. So my mother is into this kind of stuff, and she's just like, oh, why don't you come and sell some of your stuff down there? And people, would love this stuff. And I'm like, okay, I'll make something. So I started making all this soap because soap takes a good 4 weeks minimum to cure. And I mean, even after about a week or so, you can use soap, but the longer the better. Um, and so obviously you have to do it beforehand. And so I've made this soap, and I thought, you know what? I showed a picture of it online. I thought, I'm going to sell it online. So maybe, you guys like it as well. You know me, you know my stuff. If any of you have purchased my products or my perfumes or my essential oil blends, my incense, they are different smelling. They are not your um, generic smelling things they they're different. Bit like me. They're different, and I think they smell amazing. And I think that's the edge that I have because I make my own perfumes, and I understand the blend, like the blending elements of making perfume. I can put together really beautiful soap blends. So I have maybe about three more blends that I'm doing to start with, so I can sell them, and I'm also doing an unscented one. So the biggest thing for me, my biggest objective about making this soap is number one, I want it as local and as high quality as possible. So I'm all about using local ingredients. So I've tried to source locally sourced oils, um, and then like the floral elements of the soap, like from my garden. Um, I want to eventually, and I've thought about it for a while though, not so much in detail like I've done here with soaps or Prosargade, but I always thought that eventually I can sell my own rose oil from my roses, my Iranian roses, and incorporate that into, um, you know, soaps and like moisturizer and things like that. But that's down the road because those little plants are still growing and they have all their little shoots out. So, oh my gosh, I just can't wait to smell those flowers. It's such a funny thing for me because I just can't believe I have the Iranian rose in my garden. It's such a famous flower for the attar, for their oil, and I just feel so good knowing I've got it in my garden. I've got it in my garden, and it's growing very very quickly and very well. So that's my soap, and so my soap is vegan. I want to say my soap is vegan. It is free of any artificial synthetic um, coloring, like so it's mica free. And I know a lot of soap makers like using mica, but I'm all about, first of all, local sourcing, and two, if you actually do your research about mica, you are contributing to child slave labor, child labor. These mica mines in, I think it's in like, is it like in the north of India or maybe on the border like of Pakistan and India? I'm sure there's more. These poor kids, some of them are like 3, 4 years old, and they're slaves in these mica mines, and they are dying every day um, because they're small mines, and not just small, but kids do it because they need to, you know, um, contribute to paying for food because they're so poor. I do not want to contribute or use any mica in my products. And then, but then soap makers or anyone using mica that in makeup products and things, they say, oh, well, um, it is, it's sourced from a healthy environment, a safe environment where kids are not exploited. I don't care. Unless I am going there to get it myself, or if I know someone who I could trust to know that. Even so, because even though people will tell you anything to make money. Truly, people will tell you anything to make money. So even an agent working on behalf of these children um, may say, this mica is ethically sourced and these children are not exploited. I don't believe that. I don't believe that. If I see any child around a mine site, then I know something is up. I know it's suspicious. Um, I don't agree with it. So unless I know children are not exploited by me personally saying it, I won't have anything to do with it. But and I can't prove that now. So unless I'm there, which will never happen, I won't be getting it. I won't be supporting Micah. It's so confronting. It's so confronting, and I refuse to be a part of that. So, mica free soap. So if I do end up coloring soap, if I make a blend where I color it, it will be used with natural like vegetable dyes that I can make myself. Um, if I need to. But you know, I really am focusing on the quality of oils for the soap and the scents. Not so much the. I mean, it looks pretty. The soap is pretty, but I'm not doing soap with marshmallows on top and all those fancy soap. I mean, and I know that soap is gorgeous and it looks really cute. Um, but my soap is ancient soap. I would like to think that the recipe that I have for my soaps is what the ancients would have used back in the day, except for the whole animal lard thing, because a lot of ancients used lard, lard, animal fat to make their soap, and I don't support that. So I use oils, and so I'm sure a lot of them just used oils as well. So I would like to think that my recipe is as simple, natural, and as ancient as possible with my own exotic blends. So I should have got, you know what, before I did this, I should have got a bar of it down in my workshop. By the way, my workshop smells incredible, and the chooks love it as well. Um, One bar, like 100 gram bar of soap, I'm selling for $5.95, um, which, as I've researched the market, that is the lower end of pricing for soap. I am seeing these bars of soap like $12 for one bar of soap. That's so expensive. And I get it. And but I know, because even though I've got really good oils, I know that olive oil and coconut oil, um, I mean, when you find them locally, or you find a good supplier of them, you can get them for good prices, and so you can lower your cost. So you still, um, so you can still use good products at a lower affordable cost. So people selling it for like $10 or $12 a bar, that's expensive. That's expensive soap. And if you're like me, you want good quality for a reasonable price, because obviously you got to put your labor in there. There's so many things that, as a business owner, people don't see or understand what they're paying for. But I mean, there's time and effort that you need to cover for your soap making, not just soap making, but even when I make my own jewelry, my perfume blends, my incense. I mean, there's labor. It's labor intensive, especially the jewelry making. Um, so there's that, and then the packaging, and then obviously essential oils are not cheap, and they're a lot more expensive than regular oils. So you know what, I feel like $5.95 is a good price. Other people have it selling for $8, some 10, some 12. I've seen some for $16, and I don't know where they're getting their base products, but that is expensive for soap. And unless I'm using a very expensive essential oil, like for example, if I was to use Iranian rose oil, not my own, but somebody else's, that price would definitely have to go up for me, because if any of you know essential oils, Iranian rose or Bulgarian rose essential oil is super, super expensive. If I was also using agarwood, price for sure is going to go up. That is the most expensive. So do you know what I mean? So there's all these elements, but I think for now, because I've just started, and I want to keep something affordable for people. I want people to enjoy my products and afford them. So I decided that's a good price. So anyway, soaps of Pasargadae. Pasargadae, if you know me, everything's ancient. Pasargadae is actually the name of, obviously, it comes from ancient Persia. Pasargadae is the name of an area, or city type palace area where Cyrus the Great established this place. And, it was a part of this time period, this dynasty. And, I love everything ancient. So I feel like Soaps of Pasargadae is a good name. And you know me, I'm like that. So, so anyway, hopefully in the next couple of weeks, I will sell or put my soaps up because they need time for curing. And the longer they cure, the longer the soaps will last. You could use them 24 hours after, but it smells amazing, and I hope you guys love it. So yeah, oh my gosh. So I've been doing that every morning. I do like a 2 kilo batch of soap, and I'll hear from my mother every day. Oh, how's the soap going today? And because she's so excited to get these products in the farmers market, and she's all into this kind of stuff, and she's a very contributive member to her community, and it's kind of cute. So yeah, how is everybody? I hope everyone is doing well. Let's see who's here. Hey there. Hi, Vanessa. I'm just going to shift this page over a little bit so I can scroll. Whoops. Mondo, Lim. Hey, Lim. Mondo says, you have done an incredible job, with the house and the land. The walls behind your bed look gorgeous. Reminds me of the limestone villas of Lebanon and Jordan. Just gorgeous. Thank you so much. Oh my gosh. You know what? It's coming along so nicely, and I'm so, so glad I stuck out it and ripped that wall render off. I don't understand. I just think natural stone is so gorgeous. And even though I haven't finished those walls because I've got to take the pug out of those walls and seal the stone, it just looks incredible. It feels so ancient in there now. It's almost as if this room has been in the closet for 100 years, and finally now, the stove come. What did I say? The stove. I'm saying soap and stone at the same time. Um, the stone has come alive, and it just feels so good. And I've got these tapestries now. Tapestries are not done because I'm waiting for the brass curtain rods to mount them, but they haven't arrived yet. It just feels so good. It's such a good energy. I mean, it's always been a good energy in there, but now it feels like my energy. Feels like an ancient place. When you look at it from the outside, you would never guess what is on the inside, and it just feels so good. And like I said on and in a couple of recent videos, there's so much work involved, but it's all about the small little jobs, the small little steps. Every day I do something to contribute, and it just starts building up and building up, and soon enough you really start seeing results. And thank you so much for the compliments. It feels like when I'm in that room, I don't even feel like I'm in Australia. I feel like I'm somebody else, like somewhere else. Hi, Shelley. Hi, Joey. ¿Cómo estás? Work, Andulairah. Hi, Vanessa. Andrea is here. Hello there. Love you sharing. We have common interests. Yeah, I love vetiver. My goodness. All these really earthy smells, I love, like patchouli, vetiver. Um, I think they pronounce it rujos. I'm not sure, but it's a green type of vetiver. It's incredible. Um, I love these oils. Like they make my life. And you know what? It really kind of reinforces um, my heritage, this ancient heritage where resins, soaps, oils, incense, homemade cooking, everything from scratch, big gardens. It really reinforces that heritage of mine, that heritage that I feel like I've lived, for thousands of years throughout my lifetimes. Like, um, and many people, many cultures are still living like this today, especially the Middle Eastern one, like, or even in Pakistan, Afghanistan. Um, I love seeing. I follow this Afghani channel called Afghan Mirror, I think it is, and they just have random um, like videos of showing little things of Afghanistan. And there was one, the first one I watched, and the one that made me subscribe was they were the, the video man was somewhere in like farming country, and the way that they have channeled their irrigation and all their groves of pomegranates and apricots and olive trees. I mean, it's just paradise. And they're sitting there and they're washing all the fruit and they're just eating the fruit from the trees and sitting down. You don't see any women, but it's all men. And then they, put beautiful mats down on the grass and they're surrounded with roses and they're just chilling out. And this is what it is. This is how it would have been done thousands of years ago. People were more about enjoying life, not so hung up. Well, I don't think so hung up about money. Money would have been so different back in those days. And it just feels so good knowing that I am utilizing my land here and really making it something special and really trying to source and live off of my land in every way, to generate income, to eat, to feed myself, to nurture my soul. um, Actually, I want to talk about this. Someone asked me in one of my like Patreon questions about how to connect more with the divine feminine, and I'm going to address that in that video, but also at a later date, I'm gonna tell people how you can literally connect with the divine feminine, and I feel that nature, especially spring, has so much to do with that. Spring represents Mother Nature's fertility, her generosity and giving back to the land. Really, I feel like it's just such a magical time of year, and I'm so excited to see how my garden is going to look in the springtime because my roses are going berserk. And I will say right now that that's a lot of my time spent. So half of the day, like I'll usually concentrate on orders and like my business side of things, which I love doing in the morning. And then in the afternoon to dusk, I'm out in my gardens and I'm trying to get all my irrigation lines finished before the summer hits so I don't have to go out and spend 3 hours watering every night because I have so many more trees now. And so I'm just trying to set up the irrigation, check all the little holes that I puncture into the pipe, and make sure my dates are well watered. So yeah, it feels good. It's a dream. It's a dream. Mundo says rose oil is amazing. I was gifted a tiny bottle from Sodi that I was told cost over $1,000. I believe it. The smell is incredible, but I feel like every time I inhale it, 50 US dollars is evaporating. I know. And that's the thing when you get these incredible oils like agarwood or in Arabic, dehen el ud, or the rose oil. Um, you just don't want to touch it because it's highly coveted and highly appreciated and it's just so special. I mean, they all are really, but when you smell these, if you've never smelled agarwood ever in your life, a lot of people don't like it. A lot of people don't like it because it's so strong. It's like thick, thick molasses. That's what it reminds me of, and the smell is indescribable. It's one of those smells that needs its own smell signature. So you can't compare it to chocolate. You can't compare it to um, lang lang or vanilla. It has its own distinct smell. It's an incredible smell, and when you mix it with other oils, my God, it just takes it up, 100 levels. It's just indescribable, indescribable. Vanessa said, I would love to buy some of your soap. Oh, thank you, Vanessa. I hope you love it because, like I said, my incense and my products, they are not regular smelling, unless you want a custom order and you come to me and say, hey, can I have, like a vanilla blend, a straight vanilla, or a straight frankincense. I might even do like some straight scents for people that just like the standard essential oils as opposed to the blends eventually. But for now, to start with, um, like I'll just do as I'm doing. And, maybe in the future I'll do that, or even just do some custom orders. Once you start soap making, I mean, it's so addictive. It's so addictive. And I love the process so much. Um, it's so satisfying. And to know that you are putting something that is ethically sourced, made with love on your skin. I mean, it just feels so good. Everybody needs soap to some extent, and to know that there's only a few ingredients within a soap. Because if you get a generic pack of soap, I can't even pronounce some of those chemicals and things on the back of it. And um, so to know that you're getting good product and you can read and you know what's on the back, you owe it to yourself. And I'm so inspired by seeing the ancient soap makers, the old traditional soap makers. When you watch videos of them in Israel or in Jordan or in Syria, how they make soap is just so inspiring. And eventually, because I've got the thin, like 100-gram block slices of soap now, eventually I want to make bigger blocks of soap, and, real kind of just big soap, um, just different sizes. And yeah, I'm just looking forward to that. It's a beautiful thing to be a part of. Andrew says, if you can cover your production costs, make a profit, and keep the price down, then people will be more inclined to buy more at once. Yes, and the rose absolute is expensive but divine. I agree with you, and that's what I mean, because obviously, even though I need to make some profit to, keep buying more essential oils and carrier oils and base products and things, um, I want to keep the costs down because I want people to enjoy my product. Like I said, everybody needs soap to some extent, and I even though some of the soap that I'm doing is niche kind of soap, um, I want people to enjoy it. I don't want people to look at the price and think, oh, that's out of my budget. I feel like $5.95 is a reasonable price for soap, well, especially homemade soap. When you compare it to other people's prices, what they're charging their soap for online, I feel like $5.95 is a good price with the products that I'm using, the floral elements that I'm using, and also some of the elements I'm using are only native to this country. So, with my next soap, the batch that I'm doing today, you're gonna you're gonna see it. It's so pretty. Oh my gosh. So, do you know what I mean? And so I think $5.95 is a good price for artisan soap. And I know people charge a lot more, but I want people to enjoy my product. And I can make a profit from a $5.95 soap. I mean, it's not a huge profit, but it's enough, in order to keep perpetuating and going with it, and, being able to afford um, continually making it, which I'm hoping, because I love making it. It's so good. Thank you so much. I'm glad you like the name. I have tried Moroccan black soap, and there are actually some blends with the Moroccan black soap that I would love to make. I actually tried Maghrabia soap, as you say in Arabic, when I was in Dubai, and they have in the beauty salons in Dubai. I mean, their beauty salons are unmatched anywhere in the world. I don't care what anybody says. The Middle Eastern salons are hands down the best salons I've ever been to. They beauty is such a big thing in the Gulf, in the Middle East, that there are salons everywhere. You literally walk in, you can get anything done. And they have these beautiful big Maghreb hammams where, like, huge bath areas where you go and you have like a lady, a beautician or a therapist, like a shower lady. Literally, I just remember when I was, if I didn't have a Moroccan bath, I would be in the salon getting my nails done or my hair done. And you would see the worker ladies coming out wrapped in towels because there's no men there, only females. And these workers do this like for a whole shift, like 9 hours. They're in and out of the shower with the customer, and they literally scrub you from head to toe, lather you in oils, and they use Moroccan soap in these bathhouses. And you come out just raw like red because they scrub the shit out of you. It's so good for your skin. And so these worker ladies, oh my gosh, they're in there, you know, they don't go to work with makeup on or anything because they're in the shower most of the time. These salons, they just are incredible. And if there's anything I definitely miss about that, it's in the Gulf countries, it's those salons because in this country at least, salons have nothing on the Middle Eastern ones. And the Middle Eastern ones are more affordable because everybody's always there, whereas these ones are much more expensive, and you can't get even half of the things done um, in these ones as what you can get in the Middle Eastern ones. I'm trying to get out of this sun. This sun is like in my line of sight. So that's the first time I've had Moroccan soap. I know the recipe. Maybe eventually I can make some because it's a hot process soap. It's not the same. All my soap right now is cold pressed, cold processing soap. Maybe eventually I will do some, but right now I just want to work on a simple line with maybe 6 or 7 different scents, and then we'll see how people like it. I hope people like my soap. I mean, I like it, but other people have to like it in order to buy it as well. So we'll see. Mundo says the most expensive agarwood tree I think is in Vietnam or Japan. There's a private army guarding it. Yeah, actually, I know the tree you're talking about. It's at a monastery. I actually think it's not China. I think it's either Thailand or Vietnam or one of these Asian type countries. And they were approached by some rich, I believe he was Saudi, some rich person to sell that tree for $20 million. And the reason it's so expensive is it's one of the last wildly grown agarwood trees because wild agarwood is even more expensive than the farmed agarwood. But that's, yeah, and it is guarded. I mean, it would have to be because people would want to chip at it and whatever, but the monks won't sell it. Mundo says, I got some camel's milk soap that smells insane. Beautiful, cost I think about 40 AD, as in 40 dirhams. Arab Emirates dirham, that's what it stands for. I keep it in my drawer to scent my clothes. My God, if I had access to camel's milk, oh, I would love making camel milk soap because I love camel's milk. I used to go out to Mundo. Obviously, you would know about. Oh gosh, where's the desert area that I used to go to? Al Khawanij. I used to go to Al Khawanij and get camel's milk, and they'd put it. It's a sweet camel's milk, and they used to put in some saffron. Oh my gosh, there is nothing that I love more than fresh camel's milk. It's just delicious. Hi, Sandy. Assalamu alaikum. Greetings from the desert. Sending you peace and love. Thank you so much. Wa alaikum assalam. Thank you, Sandy. I love you too. Matronix is here. I'm here. I'm here. I'm so excited for your soaps. Love artisanal soaps. And I'm named after Cyrus the Great's mother. Oh, that's so lovely. Yeah, I just love that whole empire. I love what it was. I feel really bad that Alexander, the Great went in there and just desecrated Persepolis. Um, it's heartbreaking that such a beautiful place was desecrated by one man's greed and influence. It was always Alexander's goal to desecrate some beautiful place such as Persepolis and kill King Darius of the Persian Empire. But that was back in the day. And actually, Alexander helped to preserve the antiquity of Persepolis to this day because what happened, what the story is, just quickly, is that when Alexander the Great finally got into Persepolis, they were all him and his soldiers were celebrating. King Darius was dead. The whole Persian Empire was overthrown, and there was a prostitute. So basically, a whore, a woman that was a whore. Gee, that sounds nice. But they call it. What do they call her? Obviously, in Arabic, they would call her sharmuta. But a woman, a working lady, a woman about town. That doesn't sound nice, gosh. I totally respect anyone that's in that profession, but anyway, back in those days, they were what they were, and she had suggested drunkenly to Alexander, could she burn Persepolis? Um, I think half heartedly saying it, and he said, yes, let's burn it to the ground. So that one night, they completely, entirely burned down Persepolis, killed, I don't know how many people, children. They burned Persepolis, and apparently, this prostitute, she was apparently one of the most beautiful women she'd have to be with Alexander. Beautiful women that was known from Macedonia, and her name was um, Face. Was it Face? Her name was Face. Um, anyway, they burn it down, and because of the burning down, the burning itself somehow preserved the antiquity of Persepolis. So I'm mad about all things antiquity and ancient, and oh, that's I have much respect for people that are working in that line of work. In fact, I feel like they're some of the most honest people on the planet because they have no shame about what they do. And you know what? It's the oldest job in the world. Where would we be without, you know, working girls, women of the late night hour? That's makes the world go around. So I respect them more than some just regular workers because they are honest about what they do, and they obviously enjoy what they do, and they're good at what they do. And you know what? I have I know plenty, and I know plenty in the Middle East. This is primarily where I met these women of the night, and you know I love them. I love these women. Some are like family to me, and I understand why they do it. And I don't have any problem with it. Um, I think it's good. So I think it's good. And you may disagree with me, but I think it's a very honest profession because, they know what they do. People know what they do, and it's all hush hush, but we all know it makes the world go around. Anyway, keeping on with things ancient and not women of the night. Um, yeah, I hope you like my soap as well, and I can't wait to have it cure and bring it to the public basically. Mundo says, what about the camels in Australia? I think the industry of camel's milk is growing. I think it maybe I haven't researched or looked too much into it, but I know actually somebody has a couple of camels around here, but I don't know if they're milking them. I don't know what they're doing with these poor old camels. They're happy camels, but I don't know what they're doing. I don't even know if they know how to milk camels. Having camels is one thing, but to know how to milk a camel, because camels can be quite vicious if you don't know how to handle them. And they got big legs, they got big feet, big legs, and they got big teeth. You don't ever want to go near a camel's face when they're pissed off because I had a first-hand experience of a camel trying to bite my hair. It wasn't nice, because I was I was bothering her. Actually, I was taken out into the desert to see these camels, and it was the most incredible thing because all these camels, there were 50 of them, but they were all sitting facing the sun. So they were sitting down on the ground and they were all facing the sun, sunbaking. It was the most beautiful thing. And I went over to this beautiful girl with this real long lashes, and I wanted to give her stroke her. She didn't want me to do that. She wasn't too happy. Well, she didn't seem happy, but she tried to bite my hair. And um, the guys that were with me, they were like, yeah, she just wants to be left alone. So we had to leave her alone. Oh, but they're so lovely. Anyway, camel's milk, goat's milk, even goat's milk soap is really beautiful. So long as it's ethical, then I'm all for it. I'm all for it. I'm definitely not for the mica though. The mica, that bothers me. Children being exploited like that, and not knowing where that comes from, even if people argue saying, oh, but it's ethically sourced. I don't care. I don't believe it because people, like I said, will do and say anything to make money. So even though the agent that represents the mines say that they are ethically sourced, I don't believe it. Because with this documentary, one of the documentaries that I watched, they snuck in a camera, and because they said no cameras, no cameras, and they went in and they snuck in a camera and in a shirt, or I don't know how they do it, but they do. And you could see there were children there, there were kids there were kids hanging around the mine holes, and I'm just like, this is so shamish. This is a sham. And this was a person saying that everything was above board and everything was legal. I did not believe that for a second. It was so obvious. So I don't want my products to be or have anything to do with that. In fact, I will make a concerted effort. Any makeup that I have had, I haven't bought makeup for years and years, but if I was to ever buy makeup again, I would make sure it's mica free. I wouldn't be supporting those industries anymore. Uh, my mom gave me a baby food jar full of agarwood. It smells like heaven, but I hardly use it. Yeah, it's very hard to use when you have it. We will see you later, Andrea. Have to run. We'll check out your soap. As always, best of everything to you. Thank you so much. Yes, Mando is right. In Europe, they use a lot of pork lard as well as titanium dioxide in soaps. I stopped using commercial soaps because of this. Yes, I don't. Anything that sounds synthetic, even like titanium dioxide, um, simply to make it white, or it's not even about, they say that titanium oxide has, some properties to it. I wouldn't put it in soap. I still believe if you can't get it naturally from, pressing vegetable oils together, if you can't get it naturally, and there needs to be some kind of chemical reaction in order to yield the product, I won't be putting that in my products. Like anything that has some kind of, unless it's naturally sourced, um, I wouldn't be using that in my products. So, yeah, I think just keep it as simple as possible, and you can't go wrong with it then. And it's going to be the most natural to use on your skin. Anything else, people react with these kinds of things, and more than ever, people are becoming hypersensitive to artificial and synthetic things in the world. The body is already, you know, bombarded with the, things like technology sensitivity and the radiation and pollution in the world. Why on earth would you continually do that by putting more of it on your skin, or wearing it as in deodorant? Or do you know what I mean? Like, your body already has to deal with so much. um, why contribute more to that? A lot of people don't even consciously know that they're doing it. They're just so unaware. They're just not, knowledged or educated with what they're doing to themselves. um, and I will say, Google and these mainstream outlets are clamping down on information. We all know that from my channel. Can you believe it? After submitting like 10 documents, 10 files to YouTube, I am yet to hear a damn word. Even now. Even now. You know what? It just makes me so let down. Not just because they took my channel, but because of the treatment of after my channel has been taken down. I have had my account since 2006, and I started posting in 2009. To not hear a word back is it's so telling. It's so telling of how this corporate empire is run, and it's sick. It's sick. There is no empathy, and they really only care about their profits. Their big creators, they don't give a damn about the smaller ones. They don't. They don't. Because look at me. They completely wiped me out overnight. And if they did care, I would have at least got a response. I have got not one response. And it's very telling of how it's operated. And yeah, doesn't make me feel good at all. But it is what it is, and I have got on with it, but I still observe how I've been treated with this whole situation. There has been no response. I've done exactly what they've asked in order to get a response back. Nothing. Absolute silence. Could you imagine if that ever happened to PewDiePie or David Dobrik? They would have gold seats to sit on. They would never do something like that to those users. And I know PewDiePie has probably been a bit controversial. I only know of him because I know he's one of the biggest sites on YouTube. I've never seen his videos. He looks just crazy. As in, I've seen like little snippets and stuff, and I just think, video games, really? How is this helping the world? Um, each to their own, each to their own. But I just think, you know what, there's such a double standard. And I know he's had controversy, but he still has his channel back up and all his subscribers and all his content. And yeah, I don't know. I just think it's a total letdown. I'm not even going to front, not even going to sugarcoat it. It is a total letdown. Anyway, it is what it is. I still get to connect with you guys. That's the main thing. Um, and it is what it is. But that is the world we live in right now. So people are, stressed out more. People are anxious more. People are depressed more. And a lot of people don't even know why they feel this way. But I would say they feel this way because they are picking up um, on the general ambience of the planet. Just picking it up in that reality. But it really takes a concerted effort to pull away from that, and that means minimizing your social media, not watching news, like, not even listening to the music. There is so much subliminal programming in the music. and you don't even know it. And then you see, when I look at this culture, this Australian culture here, I see that influence everywhere. Not um, well, yeah, no, I see it here as well. But obviously, in the city, you see it. But like, the influence is real. It's it's everywhere. It's everywhere, and I just think, thank God, I could see that coming, and it 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 seemed to be so much more healthier because it was localized. But now this global influence about money, about cars, about all these superficial things that don't feed the heart or nurture the soul. Um, Flashing all this cash and um, like I just think all this, glorifying violence. Um, I just think, how is this helping? How is this helping? It's not. But people think it's cool. People think it's powerful. That's the influence. That is the influence. Uh, Hello, the Mocha Bulletin. Good morning. Mundo says, "What do you use for shampoo? I've been told by some tribes I know in the GCC, the ladies use boiled basil leaves." Well, actually, after this live stream, I need to go and take a bath because I have got oil in my hair. And anyone that has long hair already, I mean, you feel the weight of it. But when you have oil in it, it it really pulls it and it hurts if you don't wash it out after a day or so. It really pulls on the scalp and you get a hair headache. And so after this live stream, I'm gonna take a long bath and I'm gonna wash it out. But for now, I'm just using my own homemade blend of shampoo. It's not so lathery, but it works. I have a natural Castile soap. Not mine. I do hope I can make some Castile soap eventually. That I mix just up with apple cider, and it seems to work. But you know what? I'm gonna kind of look into it and see if I can make my own. Now that I'm doing soap, I'm gonna see if I can kind of elaborate on that a little. But yeah, oil heads isn't fun, especially with long hair. Oil treatments feel good and the hair loves it, but it's a lot of weight. To preserve the color and health of the hair, the Syrians and Palestinians do use their soaps for hair. Yeah, I had Nabolsi soap but didn't like the feel. Mm. Bob C is here. Oh, I don't know. Bob C says, "What the hell did you do? Probably some SJW was offended for known for unknown reasons, maybe. I don't know what I did with YouTube. I don't know. I will probably never know, but um, is what it is. Is what it is, and got to keep going. Got to get on with it. And just this is the world. This is the world. There's so much unjust in the world, not just with YouTube. My God, there's so much unjust in this world. Like I even just mentioned before, the child slavery. And that's just one small aspect of it. There's so many more people in these predicaments. If you get into this and watch these documentaries, especially in Africa, my God, there is so much unjust. There's so much corruption. Um, there is another one that I watched of these poor workers um, mining. Was it for salt? Was it for salt? I can't remember. And these guys, I mean, they were so ripped, so muscular, and yet they worked so hard. They worked like 16-hour days. All they were doing every day was pick work, like using a pick fork, like a pick tool, like a long pickaxe, and shoveling dirt. And I don't think it was salt. Could have been salt or it could have been something else. I don't know what they're looking for, but they wouldn't have much to eat. They were poor. They had a boss looking over them to make sure they didn't run away or take anything. I mean, it's just seems so unfair on so many levels. And here I am, whinging about my YouTube experience. I mean, it's unjust, but it's not even comparable to what some people are experiencing in the world and the way they're exploited, and even just the basic rights of being a human being are taken away from them. And it's awful. It's awful. And you feel so helpless. You want to help. You want to help them, but like, you don't even know where to start, because all these agencies and non-profit organizations and charities, you don't even know where your money is being funneled to most of the time. And again, it's because you don't have that direct experience with them. You don't know, there's maybe like 10 middlemans. You don't know, if you have good intentions of helping them, you don't even know if your contributions or help is going to even reach them. That's the awful part. Yeah, Mundo. Andulairah, YouTube did the same thing to me. I had a few videos, they deleted everything. 6 months later, everything came back without being notified. They don't like anyone talking about spirituality or aliens. Oh my God, so many alien channels have been flagged and demonetized, and their content taken down. It's just, I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is, but it is very telling. It's very telling of where we're moving, um, as a society. And all this talk about going off planet and going to Mars. I just think, what is wrong with these people? We should be nurturing this planet. We should be cleaning this planet. We should be making this planet like the most pristine it's ever been. Like, I have a real issue, um, with plastic, and you know what? And I'm still using plastic. Like, it's like you can't escape it. You can, but you really have to put in so much effort and money and time to get rid of plastic, because plastic is everywhere, especially those little plastic bags you get in grocery stores. I just think, why can't they introduce something else, like a paper bag? I know a lot of places probably do have paper bags, but why can't everyone do that? Why can't that be like a law? Why can't that be like imposed as a law to not use this plastic? Because everyone whinges about the plastic issue, but we're still contributing by making more and more plastic. It's not enough just to get rid of, at least in this country, um, you can still buy plastic bags, but they're not readily as available, and they're like 20 cents a bag. But still, take it a next step further and get rid of the plastic bags. I know back in America at, Whole Foods, sorry if that was messing up the sound. I know at Whole Foods and places like Ralph's, I don't know if Vons do it, they did have paper bags to put your shopping in. And I just think it should be done for your shopping. It should be done for like your little vegetable bags when you go to the vegetable section. Um, like, plastic should be ousted. Plastic should be got rid of. It like, it bugs me. It bugs me. But it just seems like people or these corporations are just not on board, because it's so much more cost effective using plastic. I guess so. I don't know why. Ah, hello. Chandra's here. Blessings from Colorado. Sophia Davies says, I agree. Those type of YouTubers, like you mentioned, are so beyond me. They're so trashy, and yet people watch them, and it's mostly young teenagers, which is scary. Which is scary, because the young teenagers are our future, and I'm already frightened for our future, because I see that technology addiction. It has to be worse than any other addiction. You know, and that's the scary thing, is because it doesn't it's not as disturbing or confronting as, if you go to Afghanistan and see those bridges with all those, heroin addicts under the bridges taking and shooting up heroin or smoking heroin. It's not as disturbing as or confronting, but in many ways it is very disturbing to me because you just see people down on their phone like that, and there's no engagement anymore. There's no um, all they want to do is be on their screens. They just want to be on the screens. The kids want to be on their screens. Adults are on their screens. Even older people are on their screens. Like, the addiction is just shocking. And it has to be the worst addiction because it is global. I mean, drug addiction or alcohol addiction, it's pretty much everywhere too, but it's kind of in certain areas, whereas the technology addiction is global. It's global. It's everywhere. It really takes an effort to pull away from it. And I have an Instagram account, and a lot of you know that, but I feel like if you can use it for benefit and be inspired by it, um, then that's good. Like, I mean, I post pictures of my gardens, and I follow other florists and farmers that inspire me with ideas and things about my gardens. So I feel like that's a positive thing, and I don't spend much time on it at all. Um, but I'm talking about, more than 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 hours a day. People are doing more. Like, to be looking down on that, there's so much subliminal programming, even just looking at the screen. Even like, there's subliminal programming happening within an instant. When you go on these social apps, you see all these other non-related pictures or articles attached to what it is you're looking at that have nothing to do with what you're looking at. That's done on purpose because it tries to steer you away from, and looking at their things like that pop culture. And oh, it's sick. It's sick. Hello, Arthur. Are you planning to go back to visit Bucharest? Not anytime soon. I loved Bucharest. My goodness. The Funky Chicken Hostel, the food they had in Bucharest, the markets. Oh my gosh, the markets. There was a market that I went to near the Funky Chicken because the Funky Chicken, I've come to learn, it has closed down. But the Funky Chicken was next to a huge radio broadcasting company. And a little further on from that were these markets. And these markets across the railroad tracks. And these markets were so good. They had so much food, and like fresh farm food and fresh cheese. And oh, wow, it was incredible. That's one thing I'm not really around here, which I really miss. Wow, those markets in Bucharest were amazing. As much as I would love to just teleport back there, I don't think I'll be coming to Bucharest anytime soon. Who's going to look after my chooks? It's a nice thought. The Mocha Bulletin says, "How do you make your soap?" I know the basic recipe is oils and lye, which you can make by rinsing ash with water repeatedly until it becomes lye. You know what? I As much as people want to avoid it, you have to use lye in soap. If you want like a hard block of soap, you have to use lye. And the easiest way to use lye is you have to make it from sodium hydroxide or potassium hydroxide and mix it with water. But it is super caustic and super dangerous if you get it on your skin. If you've ever seen a caustic soda burn, it's awful. It's awful. So, and this scares a lot of people from making soap and they get worried about lye being in soap. But once you mix lye, the lye solution, into the fats and the oils, the lye saponificates and basically neutralizes that chemical reaction happening with the sodium hydroxide and the water. So after 24 hours, that soap is non caustic, meaning that all that chemical reaction that happens to bind the fats and oils together, it's finished with, and so it's safe to use because there is. Believe me, if it wasn't safe, you would feel it on your skin if it was still caustic, but you wouldn't anyway because you can't use soft soap because soft soap will go straight through your fingers, and you can touch soap after 8 hours of making it. But usually, like I cut my soap probably about 15 hours after making it because you want it soft enough to cut. Because if it's too hard, it's too hard to cut, basically. Um, so anyway, I I do use lye, and you can't not use lye if you want like a hard soap. If you want a soft soap, um, yeah, I mean you can always use like the pre-made soap pieces, and you can melt them down and just add your own ingredients. But I want to make mine from scratch. And so long as you use the right precautions when you use sodium hydroxide, obviously you got to research it. You'll be fine. You won't have an injury. You won't have a problem if you do it right and take the precautions every time. So, and I'm sure there's all these different methods, but um, sodium hydroxide is highly alkalized and it needs to be balanced with the fatty, like the fats and the oils. So um, all the ingredients have to be measured precisely. That's the only thing that I'm precise about with measurements because if you know I'm a cook, I throw everything in intuitively. You cannot be intuitive about soap making. Have to, follow it to the gram because it all measures out to create this chemical process and have the soap turn out lovely. Cry for the moon. Hey, girl. YouTube creates an algorithm that no one knows how it works for a reason. I believe it. So they can remove whoever they want and blame it on an algorithm, then ignore you when you want your stuff back. Yep, I get it. Yes, that's right. Vanessa says opportunity to find a creative way around things and to learn how to make it work. That's right. Angry Birds is here. Hello, my gorgeous. Bob C says the biggest source of cobalt used in car batteries and any other batteries is in Tanzania. The environment and indigenous people are being devastated. Going electric is not good either. I believe it. My God, so many things just. I kind of got really disturbed the other night with, because obviously I have had my water issues here in the past with my bores drying up, but it is nothing in comparison to what the Iraqi people are having to deal with the Euphrates and the Tigris, and such an ancient land that I feel so connected to, Mesopotamia. It's just being it's just it's being raped of its natural resources. So what's happened is they have a water crisis, and there is a huge revolt, like a revolution happening. I wouldn't even say it's a revolution; it's a de-evolution happening. They are digressing because the government has there's something going on. Turkey, which is a neighboring country above Iraq, has made all these dams, and they've made this big dam. I think it's called like it's not the Enki Dam, but it's a name, SEC Dam. I don't know. It's a huge dam. They're making and have made this huge dam that has basically now stopped the flow down through Iraq, through to the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers. So everything's drying up. The water that is coming through is so poisoned and so polluted people are dying. People are dying from this water. Cattle, animals are dying from this water. Farmers in Basra, which is down the south end of Iraq, are having to um, like um, boat their water from another source. They can imagine they live on a river and they can't even use the water because the water is so poison. It's died off all the marshlands in Basra. It's awful, and people are angry, and people are dying because now that they're protesting, and everyone's just so desperate. The police have had to move in, and the police are killing people because they are protesting hard. Really, it's a violent protest. Because, and I don't blame them, because all they want is clean water, something we take so easily for granted just by the turning of a tap. We have water. These people don't have that. And oh, it's just such a desperate situation. And so there's so much unjust in the world. And Turkey, shame on Turkey. Shame on Turkey for knowing that they're doing this and going ahead with it anyway. They're dying off the most, like the cradle of life. This is where the original ones, first settled. One of the first oldest civilizations settled on the planet in Mesopotamia along the Euphrates and the Tigris rivers. I mean, it's devastating what's happening there. And that's what I mean. The unjust is everywhere. And yeah, I feel awful that Turkey, you know what? It's a real contradiction. And there's so many layers to this. There's so much corruption within these governments because with that whole murder of Khashoggi, Khashoggi, the Saudi dissident, well, they called him a dissident, the reporter who spoke very freely about the regime of Saudi Arabia, and then was basically murdered in the Saudi embassy. The way the Turkish Erdogan, the Turkish president, said they want to find justice with this and create a justified environment, I just think, you know what? You're completely contradicting everything you're saying here. You want justice for one man, and yet you're killing thousands by creating this dam and stopping the life blood of this land by making this god awful fucking dam. Like, there's so many contradictions, and um, I don't know. I feel like that whole murder of Khashoggi was used as a platform and to, basically show that we're a justified system. There's no justification in any system, not any government. Governments lie. Governments lie. And, um, it just, yeah, makes you sigh, with real disappointment that this is the world. This is the world. So on one hand, they're saying they want justice and they'll find out who did this, and then the other hand, they're killing thousands because they're not sharing the water. They're not allowing the water to flow naturally down through the Euphrates and the Tigris. Go figure. Go figure. Angry Bird says no intelligent species would destroy their only home and planet. Absolutely. The Mocha Bulletin said they started introducing biodegradable plastic bags in the UK. Hopefully all plastic products will be biodegradable. I hope so. Vanessa says limiting plastic as much as within your control. That's all I do. Yeah. And that's me too. Like, I still use it, but I've been reusing the same plastic products over and over and over again. Like, I have some plastic bags here that are like a year old. So, I'm just feel that I can not contribute to that industry by reusing the bags, and not putting them in the bin. So I reuse them. I reuse them. Oh, that's nice. So your local farmers market in Nova Scotia in Canada sells natural cotton produce bags. That sounds so nice. My grocery uses paper bags and my cat loves it. Ah, yeah, screens are the new kind of sorcery. You are so right. My girl Amanda's here. Hey, Amanda. Yeah. Mando says the water in Iraq is contaminated with depleted uranium from the weapons used since 2003. Yes, you are so right. That is one thing that I did not mention. Because of so much war, um, that water is highly contaminated. And actually, they did quote saying that since 2003, the the rate of birth defects had increased to 70%. I mean, that's unbelievable. And that is from what is in the water, which is, you know, uranium. And that's from all the warring of Iraq, the Gulf War in the 90s. I mean, it's, oh my gosh, it's just awful. It's awful. Joey says, "Is Elnor Gardens your third channel?" It's my second channel. So Elnor Gardens is where I post all my garden stuff because not everyone on Andulairah channel is into the gardening as you know as much as some others. But Elnor, I thought I would just share all my gardening tips and things, what I do in my garden. So if you like gardening, by all means, go and check out my videos over there. Okay, I have to go and make some soap. I have to go in my workshop and do some jewelry orders, and then eventually I'm going to go out in my gardens. So anyway, I've got to start my day. Actually, first I'm going to wash my hair. I'm going to wash my hair first, and I wish you guys a beautiful night or day wherever you are, and I hope you enjoyed this live stream. I still love doing these live streams. I was saying on my Patreon, I wasn't sure whether to try and consolidate this channel and, really kind of like not categorize, but can't categorize me, but um, kind of streamline this channel with what I could use. But you know what? Uh, this YouTube has changed this. Like if you make videos, they've got this thing called beta or beta studio thing or whatever the hell it is. I can't stand it. I keep wanting to go back to my classic YouTube editing software, and they're making it harder and harder for you to use the classic YouTube studio stuff. I think eventually they're gonna wean it out, and um, you have to use the beta. Oh my gosh, and I can't work it properly where I can streamline my videos. So I think, you know what the hell? Whatever I post on here is whatever I post. And if people want to watch it or if they don't want to watch it, so be it. Because I can't work it out. This new YouTube studio thing, oh my God, what a headache. Um, and I just don't have the patience or the time to sit and try and navigate through this whole new editing system that they've done. Like, I just wish they'd stop changing everything. Um, anyway, I'm gonna, just leave my channel, this one as it is, post intuitively like I do, and then Elnor is gardening stuff, and I kind of tag the Elnor stuff on this page if anyone's interested, on this Andulairah channel if anyone's interested, and yeah, you can watch to your heart's content. So anyway, my gorgeous people around the planet, I love you guys. Thank you so much for your time today and viewing this live stream. And I hope whatever you do, you are doing with passion, with love. You're happy within yourself and what you're doing with your life, and count the blessings. Count the blessings for the things that you take for granted, that we all take for granted. How lucky you are. If you feel down and out, believe me, there is someone so much worse. I mean, if your basic rights to be a human being are taken away from you, like having clean water or having food to eat or, things happening against your will. I mean, it just makes you so much thankful for when you have them. It should never be taken for granted. The world is changing. Hold on to the things that you have now, nurture them, appreciate them, and get savvy. Get savvy. I love you guys.